Hello and welcome back. So this is the preview of the sim. You can see we have the fire and it's behaving as expected. You can see the first part is really hot, and then as it dissipates, it gets dragged. It gets dragged and slows down. And let me set this to 69. And you can see the interior as well for the very fast moving parts is all burning. You can see there's a lot of interesting details within the fire. I mean, with this resolution, being able to get these details is really challenging, and so far we've managed to do that. So the other thing that is very natural that we're getting, you see this part here, for example, it's called at the moment, so it's staying still in space, and then as it receives fire, it gets harder and it's going to start moving, and by it moving it's going to get more velocity, and so it will have more fire. And you can see that part happening here towards the end. You can see even after the sim run its course, even if it's when it receives temperature, it starts moving really fast and going upward. And this within behavior, the having data coming from within the sim without really having any fast moving source or crazy inputs or anything like that is very crucial. And this is going to be this can create a lot of interesting behaviors. And let me show a render of the same sim, pretty much the same setup, just using a few different settings and at a higher resolution. And this is how it looks like. And you can see how the fire is coming only from the center, and that's basically the fast moving parts that also are multiplied by the density. And the reason we're not getting anything here is because the density is really weak, and so it doesn't receive as much temperature as the core, which is the hottest area. And we have I have the dot product and I have the velocity being used, and this is the kind of effects that I'm talking about, where you have a sim, it's running its course, and then it receives this injection. For example, you can see how that kind of distortion is really realistic, and you're gonna get an explosion within the sim. So see how this part is gonna rise up. See, that part is rising up. It's same thing happening here. And this behavior is really complex to achieve with Pyro. Maybe there is a way, but it will not be as simple as this one. Now, the other thing that we're also getting is this insane amount of details that you can see basically everywhere. You can see it here. And to be honest, there is no more details that you can get. There's no higher level of details that you can get. Maybe you can add a little bit of noise here, but within the screen space, I think there is no more there's no more space to fill in more breakups. Beyond that, it's gonna just become noise, and I think this level of detail is really high, especially that this sim only took about 2 hours to run. The other thing that I turned off is that gas blur, and you can see the effect here, and I did this on purpose, and the reason for that is I wanted the temperature to capture, to basically to have this effect. Okay, I wanted that to be there. Now if we run the gas blur, we may lose that, which I think is playing a huge role in capturing the details of the sim. Now there's a lot of trickery within the render as well, but most of the information is coming from within the sim, especially this part here. You can see all those voxels, those are the actual voxels, and that's the effect we're getting. Now how do we do both? Well, let me give an idea, which I have not done because I can run high-res sims and just have everything super high res, but if you want to take it further and do another level of optimization, you can do two things. You can run the deformation. You can use one gas field VOP with a gas analysis that you blur to inject the velocity, and then do another one with run another gas analysis, but don't blur it, and use that within to create the temperature injection. So you can separate them. You can separate both of them, and having the temperature without a blur will give you all the details, but then the density and the velocity forces will have the blur on them, so you won't see these effects. So this is an idea that you guys can look into. Now, what we're going to talk about next is how to add expansion. Right now, we're not injecting any more temperature. We're not injecting temperature from external source. We're not adding any more density. Whatever is coming from within this source is just getting moved away and spread and interacted with. There's no new volume being emitted. And with an explosion, there's always a huge expansion. You have a super tiny source, but then it expands drastically in a couple of frames. So we're going to learn how to do that and then apply that to the sim and see how that works. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.